to have and to hold
from this day forward.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 celebrity wedding dresses.
Grace Kelly was a real inspiration with her dress and how timeless it is.
That dress is just, it took 3 weeks for him to make, and then 10 weeks of work for me to pay for. And then
I knew I wanted a two-piece dress. I knew I wanted it to be like sort of princess-y.
For this list, we're looking at the most memorable outfits that famous people wore on their big days. What's your favorite celebrity dress? Let us know in the comments. Number 20, Priyanka Chopra. Ever since she was crowned Miss World 2000, this Indian actress has risen up as a beauty icon, as well as one of the most influential individuals alive. Being synonymous with style, Chopra didn't limit herself to one look when she tied the knot with Nick Jonas. She wore a variety of elegant outfits for pre-wedding events, but Chopra donned a custom Ralph Lauren gown for the ceremony, complete with over 2 million mother-of-pearl sequins and a 75-foot veil. It was the first wedding dress that Lauren himself devised for someone who wasn't a family member. Chopra wasn't done stunning, as she wore a shimmering silver lehenga by Falguni Shane Peacock for the wedding reception at the Taj Mahal Pavan Palace. Number 19, Cindy Crawford. One of the most iconic models in the world, Crawford looks ravishing whether she's walking down the runway in a designer dress or drinking a Pepsi in casual attire. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that Crawford lit up the Bahamas when she married Randy Gerber in 1998. With a laid-back backdrop, Crawford kept things casual in an off-the-rack John Galliano slip dress. Walking onto the beach barefoot, her simple yet stylish look perfectly reflected the relaxed wedding that Crawford wanted. Discussing the wedding with People Style years later, Crawford said that she, quote, probably would do the same thing again. Crawford reflected in her 2015 book Becoming, quote, I wanted to look like the best version of the girl Randy loves waking up to every morning. Number 18, Celine Dion. From The Power of Love to My Heart Will Go On, Dion is the voice behind some of the most romantic songs ever written. Likewise, her 1994 wedding with manager René Angelou was a lovely affair held in private at Montreal's Notre Dame Basilica. Dion dazzled with one of the boldest ensembles on our list. Instead of a traditional veil, Dion's look was distinguished by a 7-pound headpiece composed of 2,000 Swarovski crystals. The gown by Miranda and Steve Gentile was just as entrancing, with a 20-foot train. More than 1,000 hours reportedly went into the look, and the effort clearly shows in the striking final product. Number 17, Mia Farrow. Getting hitched at Vegas' Sands Hotel in 1966, Mia Farrow's marriage with Frank Sinatra ended 2 years later around the same time that she was starring in Rosemary's Baby. Although the marriage wasn't meant to be, the two remained friends, and Farrow's wedding look would leave a strong impression. Foregoing the formal dress, Farrow wore a white two-piece suit with a cropped jacket, a short skirt, and a bow tying it all together. Just as her hair was cut short for the occasion, the ceremony only lasted about 15 minutes. While far from the most extravagant outfit on our list, Farrow's ensemble epitomized the modern woman of the 1960s. Few beauties can pull off minimalist fashion as flawlessly as Farrow. Number 16, Samira Wiley and Lauren Morelli. We all recognize actress Samira Wiley from Orange is the New Black, but you might not have known that Lauren Morelli served as one of the show's writers and producers. The two met while working on the hit Netflix series. When they tied the knot in Palm Springs 5 years later, Wiley and Morelli asked their friend Christian Siriano to lend his fashion expertise.
Well, I've known Christian for a while. We worked together. So I knew when we were getting married that we both knew that we wanted to work with him.
Although they shared a designer in common, both brides stood out with unique looks. Wiley wore a captivating off-the-shoulder gown, while Morelli donned a white jumpsuit with a cape and laced bodice. The outfits managed to be distinctive while also going together perfectly. Something similar can be said about the happy couple.
Lauren knew she wanted a jumpsuit, and she knew a few details that she wanted, but Christian really went from there.
Number 15, Salma Hayek Pinault. Receiving an Oscar nomination for portraying Frida Kahlo, Salma Hayek married French billionaire François-Henri Pinault in 2009. The couple exchanged vows secretly in Paris on Valentine's Day, only inviting about 150 friends and family members. The two went all out for another ceremony in Venice 2 months later. Although this $3.5 million event attracted big names like Bono and Penelope Cruz, all eyes were on Hayek in her Balenciaga dress. Designed by Nicolas Guéquière, the gown was right out of a fairy tale with a white skirt and radiant top. Hayek rounded out the look with gorgeous earrings, an orchid and stephanotis bouquet, and a veil covering her updo. The dress reportedly cost over $500,000, but Hayek made it look priceless. Number 14. Carolyn Bessette-Kennedy. Narciso Rodriguez is well known in the fashion community today, but he was just starting to make a name for himself in the late 90s. While working at Calvin Klein, he met publicist Carolyn Bessette. The two formed a close friendship, and when Bessette got engaged to John F. Kennedy Jr., Rodriguez was entrusted to secretly design her wedding dress.
I made that wedding dress with so much love for the person that I loved most in the whole world, and I never viewed it as a press event or...
Just as this silk crepe dress was made in secret, the ceremony was a private gathering on a remote island.
Alan and I owe all of you a great debt of gratitude.
Nevertheless, the gown put Rodriguez on the map.
And I went from being a very kind of private person to being a very public person overnight.
Much like her mother-in-law, who we'll get to later, Bessette was the epitome of class. She couldn't have looked more elegant in a sleek gown that's perfectly tailored for a low-key yet formal event. Number 13. Alicia Keys. With another private wedding that took place on an island, singer Alicia Keys and record producer/rapper Swizz Beatz made some beautiful music together in 2010. Keys was only a few months away from giving birth to their first child together, and her Vera Wang dress brought out a divine pregnancy glow. With an adorned headband complementing her ivory one-shouldered gown, Keys sent off the powerful vibes of a Greek goddess. Keys paired the Grecian look with a bouquet of calla lilies, while the Mediterranean Sea provided a breathtaking backdrop. Number 12. Kate Moss. During the 90s, Kate Moss developed into one of the most esteemed models in the business. She married English guitarist Jamie Hince in 2011, but designer John Galliano drew inspiration from the 20s and 30s for Moss's big day. The lace cap veil in particular was pure 1920s, and Moss brought out its timeless appeal.
When I put the dress on, I'm really happy that I forget about everything.
Really?
It all goes away.
The silk dress, meanwhile, was embellished with gold sequins and sheer panels. The highlight of the ensemble was Moss's train with its glistening pattern. The vintage dress was reportedly inspired by Zelda Fitzgerald, which is fitting since Moss's diamond engagement ring was also based on the famed novelists. It's an ensemble that truly takes us back in time. Number 11. Dita Von Teese. When the bride is the queen of burlesque, the groom is Marilyn Manson, and the ceremony is officiated by avant-garde filmmaker Alejandro Jodorowsky, it's only natural that all usual conventions would be thrown out the window. As such, Dita Von Teese donned a violet Vivienne Westwood gown for the occasion. The ensemble was rounded out with a Stephen Jones hat, Christian Louboutin shoes, a Mr. Pearl corset, and a Nina Ricci peignoir. This silk taffeta dress wouldn't look out of place in a Tim Burton movie or a gothic music video. It might have been out of the norm, but we wouldn't expect anything less from Von Teese. Number 10. Miranda Kerr. In 2015, this former Victoria's Secret angel entered into a relationship with Snap co-founder/CEO Evan Spiegel. 2 years later, they were wed in a quaint ceremony at home with about 45 guests. Kerr has always looked up to three fashion idols: her grandmother, Audrey Hepburn, and Grace Kelly. Kelly's 1956 wedding dress, which we might encounter later, served as the primary inspiration for Kerr's ensemble.
Grace Kelly was a real inspiration with her dress and how timeless it is.
To realize this vision, she turned to designer Maria Grazia Chiuri, who had recently become Dior's artistic director. Kerr channeled Kelly in a satin dress, but with a few modern updates like a crew neck and flowery train. The Australian model wanted a dress right out of a fairy tale, and she couldn't have looked more like a princess. Number 9. Portia de Rossi. Portia de Rossi and Ellen DeGeneres are one of the most famous couples in the world, but their 2008 wedding was a small affair with only 19 guests.
You look beautiful.
Oh my God.
Those who received an invite got a first-hand look at one of designer Zac Posen's most graceful creations. De Rossi graced their Beverly Hills mansion with a backless halter-neck dress with a deep V-neck.
That dress is just, it took 3 weeks for him to make, and then 10 weeks of work for me to pay for. And then...
Whereas the bodice was white, the dress's lower half possessed subtle shades of dusty pink, which gave the gown ballerina overtones. The dress complemented the pink diamond engagement ring that de Rossi received from DeGeneres. While this wedding was significant for a variety of reasons, de Rossi's dress further cemented its legacy. Number 8. Ciara. Ciara's middle name is Princess, and she definitely sent out royal vibes on her wedding day.
Love bears all things. Love believes all things.
The fact that she married quarterback Russell Wilson at Peckforton Castle only added to the fairy tale ambiance. It was the singer's dress, however, that really made this wedding magical. Designed by Peter Dundas, Roberto Cavalli's creative director at the time, the gown blossomed with sheer lace bell sleeves and a lace-up bodice. On the back of the dress's lengthy train, you'll find the couple's initials monogrammed into the fabric. Ciara would later express her gratitude for Dundas on Instagram, writing, quote, "I just want to take this moment to say thank you for being a part, making this day perfect for me, and bringing my dream dress to life." Number 7. Jacqueline Kennedy. Few first ladies in U.S. history inspired more iconic looks than Jacqueline Kennedy. As you can imagine, Mrs. Kennedy's wedding dress lived up to her fashionable legacy, although she nearly endured a fashion disaster. Designed by Anne Lowe, one would assume that this silk taffeta masterpiece would have been perfected months in advance. In reality, the bride's original dress was ruined 10 days before the wedding when Lowe's studio flooded. With some extra help, Lowe recreated the gown and several other dresses that had been destroyed in time for the social gathering of the year. Despite overcoming this nightmare scenario, Lowe lost $2,200, and it wouldn't be until after her death that she received proper recognition for this illustrious wedding dress. Number 6. Amal Clooney. We never thought we'd see the day, but George Clooney went off the market in 2014 when he settled down with human rights lawyer Amal Alamuddin. Despite his former reputation as the world's most eligible bachelor, it's been humorously argued that Clooney married someone out of his league. Amal Clooney is among the most accomplished individuals on the planet, not to mention one of the most fashionable. Nowhere was this more apparent than on their star-studded wedding day, where the bride donned an enchanting gown by Oscar de la Renta.
I know that they both collaborated very closely on what she wanted and her design preferences, so he had some ideas as to what might work within her choices.
Above all else, the beaded tulle dress is distinguished by the 14 yards of Chantilly lace, which stretch from the off-the-shoulder top to the dramatic train. It's a dress every bit as exquisite as the bride. Number 5. Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge. Although we also envy Pippa Middleton's dress with a passion, her big sister's wedding day was one of the most talked about events of 2011. Kate Middleton's Alexander McQueen gown in particular was a key talking point. Designed by Sarah Burton, the dress was shrouded in mystery leading up to the royal wedding. It wasn't until Middleton drove up to Westminster Abbey that the world finally got to lay eyes on the gown, which more than lived up to the hype. Middleton reportedly wanted a dress that was both traditional and modern. The lace and satin gown captured this to a T, with long sleeves and a silk veil. She rounded out the look with the Cartier halo tiara, which the Queen herself lent to Middleton. Number 4. Elizabeth Taylor. Married 8 times, this fashion icon had no shortage of wedding dresses to choose from, but there was honestly no competition.
You're wonderful, kiddo. Just wonderful.
Taylor's finest bridal gown will always be her first one. The actress was 18 when she tied the knot with hotel heir Conrad Nicky Helton Jr. in 1950. Taylor's natural beauty was only amplified by the pearl-encrusted dress, which was devised by costume designer Helen Rose. Going on to win 2 Oscars, Rose also worked on multiple films starring Taylor, including Father of the Bride.
Right.
Hold it, Pops.
As a matter of fact, Taylor wore a similar-looking dress in that classic film, which premiered just a few weeks later. It's no wonder Taylor's real-life dress sold for almost $188,000 US in 2013. Number 3. Audrey Hepburn. From Roman Holiday to Breakfast at Tiffany's, it's hard to think of an actress who's given us more iconic looks than Audrey Hepburn. Of course, her exquisite taste wasn't limited to the silver screen. Before becoming a bona fide movie star, Hepburn married fellow performer Mel Ferrer in 1954. Like Holly Golightly, Hepburn sported elbow-length gloves for the occasion. Instead of a black cocktail dress, however, she wore a formal white gown consisting of ball gown sleeves and a high neck. Topping the look off with a floral crown, Audrey was a princess for a day. Hepburn had 2 other wedding dresses made during her lifetime, one of which she never got to wear down the aisle. But it's hard to top this triumph from Pierre Balmain. Number 2. Diana, Princess of Wales. Anyone who watched season 4 of The Crown was reminded why they were so obsessed with Princess Diana's wardrobe back in the 80s and 90s.
As husband and wife live out their vows, loving and cherishing one another, sharing life's splendors and miseries, achievements and setbacks, they will be transformed in the process.
For many of us, that obsession started on July 29, 1981, when she married Charles, Prince of Wales. Like Kate Middleton's dress, measures were taken to keep Diana's gown under wraps, which had anticipation at an all-time high. With a train that stretched 25 feet and great puffy sleeves, we're still entranced by her silk taffeta and antique lace dress. According to designers David and Elizabeth Emanuel, the dress needed to be, quote, suitably dramatic in order to make an impression. Indeed, the dress is dramatic in all the right ways, and its impression is still felt almost 40 years later. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Grace Kelly. This list has been largely comprised of Hollywood royalty and actual royalty. Grace Kelly is one of the few individuals who falls under both categories. Shortly after winning the Academy Award for Best Actress, Kelly left Hollywood to marry Prince Rainier III. Kelly's wedding dress perfectly encompassed her evolution from silver screen star to Princess of Monaco. In another dress designed by Helen Rose, Kelly was draped in a bodice and 2 petticoats topped off with a veil and headdress. Rose wasn't the only MGM employee who refined this look, as stylist Virginia Darcy did Kelly's hair. Kelly's dress would help inspire a few other gowns on this list, which just goes to show its impact throughout the decades. It's simply a classic. Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.